When you look at a modern map of southern Afghanistan and western Pakistan, your eye is immediately drawn to the jagged borderlines dividing the region. Today, cities like Kandahar are mostly discussed in the context of modern geopolitics and border conflict. Strip away modern boundaries, and the ancient footprint of Arachosia appears. As the land bridge connecting the Iranian plateau to the Indus Basin and Central Asia, its surrounding mountains funneled any crossing caravan or army directly into the Arghandab River Valley, a mandatory transit corridor. Our modern maps and recent history of warfare obscure a crucial reality. This specific river valley was never a peripheral edge of the map territory. For millennia, it was the geographic center of the ancient Eurasian world. But the physical evidence of that ancient world is actively disappearing. Between decades of modern warfare, severe neglect, and rampant illegal antiquities looting, the region's archaeological heritage is literally being torn apart. Archaeologists call this epistemic loss. When a carved seal or a piece of pottery is ripped from its original soil and sold, the context is gone. The critical data about who made it, when they lived, and who they traded with is permanently erased. Before those remaining physical layers vanish completely, we need to excavate down through the centuries to recover the incredibly diverse identities of the people who actually built this crossroads. The historical record begins with the Achaemenid Persian Empire. By the 6th century BCE, Arachosia was firmly integrated into the Persian state, serving as a powerful eastern stronghold heavily tied to the Zoroastrian faith. The empire carefully documented this loyalty. This is the Behistun inscription, a massive rock relief in western Iran. On it, Emperor Darius I praises the Arachosian satrap, Vivana, who crushed a rebel army to protect the emperor's claim to the throne. That military loyalty was backed by deep economic integration. Administrative tablets from the capital reveal that Arachosia was a major supplier of luxury goods, funneling materials like ivory straight into the great Persian palaces. Between suppressing internal revolts and feeding the imperial economy, Arachosia operated as a structural pillar of Persian power, tied directly into the administrative and religious heart of the empire. That Persian stability shattered in 330 BCE. Alexander the Great's violent arrival relied on mass enslavement and the destruction of local cities to force a Greek military presence into the valley. But controlling this territory proved nearly impossible for the commanders who outlived him. Macedonian rulers viewed the region with such suspicion that they actually used Arachosia as a political dumping ground. They dispatched their most dangerous veteran soldiers, men with 40 years of combat experience, on fatal missions to the eastern frontier, deliberately liquidating them as political threats. By 305 BCE, the Greek Seleucid Empire made a calculated geopolitical transaction. They traded the entire province of Arachosia to the Indian Mauryan Empire in exchange for exactly 500 war elephants. The people, the cities, and the river valley were treated as a highly liquid asset. Ancient superpowers knew this land was valuable enough to trade directly for the heavy armor needed to win wars elsewhere. With the Mauryan Indian administration now in control, a wave of Buddhist religious culture flowed directly into a valley already populated by Greek settlers and Iranian natives. To govern this diverse population, the Mauryan Emperor Ashoka erected bilingual rock edicts. His officials translated core Buddhist principles, like nonviolence and piety, directly into Greek and Aramaic so they could be understood by the descendants of Greek soldiers and Persian administrators. This cultural cross-pollination peaked centuries later under the Kushan Empire. Look at this sculpture. It features a traditional seated Buddha, but the figure is wrapped in heavy Mediterranean-style drapery folds. It is physical proof of Greek and Indian artistic traditions fusing into a single cohesive style. This blending became so pronounced that when the Parthians eventually governed parts of the area, they referred to the region as White India. It had become a completely liminal space, neither fully Iranian, nor fully Greek, nor wholly Indian. The constant pressure of rival empires taking turns conquering the valley forced these disparate populations to negotiate with one another. Out of violent displacement and overlapping administrations, they managed to invent a unique, hybrid civilization. Following the Islamic conquests in the 7th and 8th centuries, the distinct ancient identity of Arachosia slowly dissolved. The very name of the region morphed and faded from global memory as new empires redrew the maps. But a vacuum of historical evidence allows ancient history to be weaponized today. For example, modern nationalist groups point to linguistic similarities to promote a controversial theory linking Arachosians directly to the origins of the Croatian people, despite DNA evidence placing Croatian roots firmly in Slavic migrations. When archaeological heritage is destroyed or neglected, a society loses its factual anchor. It leaves the past entirely vulnerable to romanticized speculation and deliberate political manipulation. This aerial view shows exactly why the region remains so critical. The braided river carving a stark green path through the arid mountains demonstrates a severe geographical constraint. Ancient Persian trade routes and Silk Road caravans followed this exact valley, and those paths are the direct ancestors of the modern highways connecting Herat, Kandahar, and Kabul today. The exact same mountain passes that funneled Greek phalanxes and Buddhist monks have spent the modern era funneling insurgent fighters and heavily armored NATO convoys. Ancient empires eventually collapse, and as the history of Arachosia shows, the identities forged at this crossroads were always in flux. Yet the geographic realities of the Arghandab Valley ensure this corridor remains a primary artery for the movement of people and power across the continent.